When I see you at SHOT Show, I'm going to punch you right in the mouth.
Do it.
Well, that escalated quickly.
I was talking to you, not him. Ow. No, I'm kidding.
Here we
Him,
go.
yes.
And opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual panelists and do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on our live shows.
Broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. The bandwidth for this episode of This Week in Guns is sponsored by Patriot Patch Company. PatriotPatch.co.
Welcome to This Week in Guns. This show is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network and Patriot Patch Company.
And this show offers commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Sean Herron, and we've got a great panel tonight. I'm going to go ahead and get right into introducing them. We've got best-selling author of the Long Range Shooting Handbook, host of Trigger Words, the newest podcast on the Firearms Radio Network, and tons of other stuff, including Rocket FFL and Rocket CCW. Ryan Kleckner, welcome back.
Thank you for having me on, everybody. Good to be here.
Next up, we've got the owner of Sentinel Concepts. He's a writer, industry advisor, and SWAT trainer. Please welcome the guy who threatened to punch me in the mouth right before the show, Steve Fisher. What's up?
What's going on, man? How are you guys?
Next up, we've got Josh Ruby. He's the owner of the North Texas Rifle Precision and a PRS competition shooter. Welcome, first-timer Josh.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you, man. Next up, you know him. He's been around. Host of the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review podcast, Zane Mungillo in the house. What's up, Zane?
Hey, what's going on, Sean?
Not too much. And here in Colorado, we've got owner of Elite Firearms and Training and the host and producer of Gun Funny, Ava Flanell. Welcome.
Oh, hey.
Welcome to the show. Before we get into it, I just want to talk about our two advertisers. We've got Patriot Patch Company and their Patch of the Month Club, all kinds of great patches, stickers, shirts, cleaning mats, etc., etc. Amazing, funny stuff. Go check them out, patriotpatch.co, and join their Patch of the Month Club. You'll get cool stuff like turkeys with grenades and scars slung across their back, things like that. Santa Claus with a scar.
Yeah, this month, actually, I heard they're doing a Hanukkah patch as well.
I don't think that's true, actually. Oh, okay. Well, she's mad. And next up, we got Manticore Arms is now supporting This Week in Guns and the Firearms Radio Network as well. Go check them out. They make a ton of great products for your AR, SCAR, Tavor, AUG, Scorpion, all that and more. Check out their Transformer rails. And look, Christmas is almost here. Hanukkah is almost here. You can use coupon code TWG10 to save 10% off on their store all day, every day at manticorearms.com. Let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing we're going to talk about tonight is Saturday Night Live skit suggests guns as a mean to defend against sexual predators. So let me set the stage. they're in Welcome to Hell or something like that, and there's a bunch of ladies dressed up and dolled up. And at one point, one of them holds up, looked to be a pink Glock, and said, "There's a lot there." And I don't know. We watched it at dinner. Just a little bit of it. It seemed a little corny, but it was surprising to kind of see a gun in Saturday Night Live. I don't remember that happening before.
Yeah.
No.
Or have they been drinking? I mean, what is going on? Are they somebody else? Did they take over the network?
Probably cocaine is my guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the skit. They only showed the gun for just a second, and it seemed very tongue in cheek to me. It was the whole skit was weird. It gets even weirder after that if you were one who could make it past that part.
No, that was about all I could handle, yeah. And I was like, okay, there was the gun. Bye bye.
It's pretty terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. Did anyone else watch that?
Yeah, I saw it after you sent the link for it, and I agree with saying it was tongue in cheek. It was might as well have been picking on a caricature of a gun-toting person, is I think what they were doing. But still nice to see guns. Still glad that they're not afraid to put them on the screen.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that they did, even whether it was tongue in cheek or not, just to have it, on SNL. That's a little bit surprising to me.
Right. They admitted it was an option to defending yourself, whether they thought it was a good one or not. They still admitted it was one.
They did.
Completely agree. All right. Anyone else have anything on that before we move on?
This is why I stopped watching.
All right. So the next one up is Democrat fundraiser faces multiple felony charges for crimes with a gun. So basically, a guy I don't even know. This story was a little bit crazy. Seems like the dude just snapped, basically. Charged with multiple felonies after allegedly pointing a gun at someone, yelling racial slurs. There was someone at an Amoco station. He then apparently fired several rounds at the gas station. Then he went somewhere else to a Jack in the Box, it looks like, and allegedly fired several shots from inside of his car. And the only reason that I even put the story in the notes, or that I left it in the notes, is just because honestly, I feel like very often we see if gun control advocates, or if we were as violent as gun control advocate, I don't know, whatever. But this guy's crazy.
Agreed. It's your typical double standard. So.
Yeah, raising money for the Democratic Party. Obviously, or I guess not obviously, but possibly a proponent of gun control, and freaked out, shot a bunch of rounds out of his car, and yeah, he's going to jail probably.
Yeah, they actually upped. Yeah, they upped one of the charges to a hate crime. It said in the article, because he was yelling racial slurs. So he's going to definitely spend time in jail.
As well, he should.
Yeah.
But guys, he should spend time in jail for being a nut with a gun.
Right, not because of right.
The hate crime thing drives me nuts. When people say, "Oh, the shark bit somebody," but don't worry, it was just an exploratory bite. Sharks weren't trying to be aggressive. I don't care why I got bit. I got bit. I don't care why he shot somebody. He shot somebody. That's all that should matter. But I digress.
Yeah, totally agree. Real quick, Steve, are you there?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I was just making sure your audio looked a little weird on my side. I just want to make sure we were good.
Is it good now?
Yeah, it's good.
He was just finishing up his ice cream.
Perfect.
I was. You're just so jealous you didn't get any.
So
all right, that's enough.
So jealous.
So jealous.
The next story is an interesting redesign of the AK-47. DNO Firearms, the DX7 is what they put out. It is a modernized, and I used air quotes for those people who are listening audio only, AK rifle. Some of the changes that they have is it's got a pivoting top receiver, which means that instead of the original cover, it's now got a solid optic mount. Redesigned the spring. They do have a charging handle on the left-hand side, a removable charging handle on the left-hand side. I don't know. It's interesting. It's got an AR-15 style safety, but look, people are trying to improve the AK-47, and I'm not sure that people are going to buy into that.
It's pretty much nowadays, people are grasping at anything that is different that can possibly rejuvenate the market. Left-handed charging handle on an AK, big deal. The Lightning Bolt did that for years. There's been a lot of conversions out that have done all kinds of this, even going back to the Krebs guns with the Galil type safety.
Yeah, I thought it looked interesting, but I don't see people buying it, especially at a $1,000 price tag.
Yeah.
I don't hate it though.
No, I mean, it looks pretty cool, and I do like the solid optic mount on top that doesn't move around every time you take it apart or disassemble it. So we'll see. I think it's fairly interesting at worst, and we'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Next story is Remington 870 gets a detachable magazine.
Oh, geez.
Magazine fed pump shotgun. It holds, I guess, one round less than the tube fed.
Brilliant.
Shotgun. Yeah. So I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on this?
Why?
This is why Remington should stay at the bottom of the ocean right now. They have nothing innovative. They've ruined a perfectly good shotgun system by adding a detachable box magazine that holds one less round, and then you have to find a way to carry these big bulky mags.
And is it just me, or I feel like this just came out of nowhere. There was never like a press release or anything that I saw that showed that they were going to announce a new product. It literally, like, this came overnight.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was like they were all drinking together, and
Yep, you got it. You got it.
We're gonna attach a magazine.
This was in the works for a couple of years, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, it really was.
All right.
I see the need for a shotgun, but they have to have multiple magazines of shotgun on top of that. Doesn't really appeal to me.
Yeah, I'm kind of. It's kind of neat they did it because I think they're thinking outside the. They're trying something new. They executed it and whether we on this show would want that style of gun, I don't know, but at least they're trying to offer something. But the problem is, it looks like it just bolted on a piece. Did you guys see it? I mean, it looks like they just bolted on crap to a gun that was already there. And my only problem is when they, not only problem, but one of the problems is they bill it as the most advanced, most revolutionary thing in your lifetime to a pump action shotgun. Is we're doing something like somebody else currently does.
Like, this is not a new
Black
concept.
Aces have an integrated one.
This has been around. This has been around. This is nothing new.
And other people do it like integrated, not even on a bolt-on. Now you sell me a bolt-on where I can convert another 870. Now maybe we're talking.
Well, there was a company years ago making that called Knox. They called it the Sidewinder kit or something like that. And it was basically, I think it was for Mossbergs, not Remingtons, but it's same concept.
Black Aces does one. They have actually have a magwell in the receivers. They make it like a monolithic design, instead of this bolt-on outside thing.
Knox did it. Ace did it. Lazzarini did it. It's been done before. There's a company out of Canada that's been doing it. It's nothing new. Remington did this probably just so it didn't get lost in the SHOT Show hype in January.
Yeah. So the other problem is I saw an email today from Remington where they sent. I need to share it with you guys. At the top of the email announcing the detachable magazine and the email they sent me, it shows somebody racking the shotgun and a empty hull is coming out while the new one's getting ready to feed. And you can actually see the wrist of the left hand of the shooter is the skin is actually all pushed and bent out of the way, showing how hard his wrist is actually hitting the mag release. Like his wrist is clearly positively engaging the mag release, and I swear I'm staring at the picture to see if I can actually see the magazine dropping out or not. So that's my other gripe of it, is maybe the mag release would have been better in the back.
I'll tell you what, though, they're going to sell them because in some of the more, I'll call them derpy groups on Facebook I'm in, people were all over this today, just drooling over this. So
guys, I'm going to take one with a TAC 14. Why not? I'm going to put it behind me. I'm going to put a TAC 14 a detachable magazine on my wall because why not?
I was actually
because Sega.
Because America.
Push it against a barricade, not to eject your mag.
Problem with a pump action shotgun. The problem is you get them shorter to make them handier. You normally limit your capacity. So at least this is more utilitarian, I think, on a short barrel shotgun than a standard shotgun. But
they make something like this that's even better called a KSG. That's about the same size. It holds way more rounds and doesn't have to be reloaded. Right. It's just that easy.
I don't know. So does anyone know? I couldn't find it actually. I was looking around before the show. Are these magazines something that existed already and they just adapted?
No, they made a proprietary magazine, which actually is another weak point. I keep coming up with the only thing is it's a feed lip system that you have to actually push the rounds in from the top and bypass through the feed lips. You can't load it like you would load a normal, like a pistol magazine. So these lone pieces of metal are sticking up and barely holding on to the base of the shell, which is either going to be genius or the failure point, one of the two.
It's probably going to be a failure point, and then guys are going to figure out these mags are heavy with shotgun shells in them. How do I carry them? Oh, wait a minute. And everybody back to 1994 carrying man purses with lots of shells in them. There are magazines for these guns.
I'm just going to, whatever happened to the bandolier? I think I should bring back the bandolier.
Well,
yeah, 100%.
I mean, you could throw a side saddle on the side of your gun and have the capacity of a spare magazine and not have to worry about
sacrilege.
swapping them.
How dare you? How dare you?
Fit 3 or 4 in a saw pouch.
How dare you? Oh, my God.
Well, I guess their SHOT Show announcement will just be 20 round mags for their new shotgun line.
Oh,
it'll be a drum. It'll be a drum.
Yep.
Oh, perfect. I'm super, super excited about that. On a little bit more of a serious note, Kate Steinle murderer found not guilty, set to be deported again. So this has kind of been all over the news. Her accused killer found not guilty of murder to be deported. Found not guilty. I'm surprised. The big deal in this article is that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement announced late Thursday that following the conclusion of the case, ICE will work to take custody of Mr. Zarate and ultimately remove him from the country. So not guilty of being deported. So, man, what a travesty.
I can't even wrap my mind around it. I just had to wrap my head in duct tape or that'll explode.
Yeah.
I can. One word, California.
That's exactly what I was about to say. It's California.
California. Here, newsflash. California gun owners, take your state back if you want it that bad. Otherwise, leave.
I mean, in this case, it's not even gun owners; it's Californians. Take your state back because this is insane.
There is no rhyme or reason with that state at all. About half of the things that even go on there are 3/4. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. One thing that they actually weren't even allowed to mention was his immigration status. It wasn't allowed to be heard as evidence in the trial. Oops.
Yeah.
Auto play video. Perfect. So yeah, I don't know. They're gonna kick him out of the country, which I guess is a good thing. Unfortunately, again, he had to die, but to make that happen.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, exactly. He will be back. All right. So this is kind of a big deal. California DOJ proposes ammo vendor licensing regulations. Not enough time to implement them before the January 1st deadline. So kind of a big deal in my opinion. For the first time in California history, residents will have to go to a licensed dealer and undergo a background check when buying ammunition. This is all according to California Proposition 63. All ammunition purchased online or from a mail order catalog must be shipped to a licensed vendor and not given to the end consumer until they've performed basically a background check to receive said ammunition. Wow.
So let me ask a question. How does this work for somebody like, let's say, Fisher, for example, who wants to go teach a class in California but doesn't want to fly his ammo there? Does he have to ship it to an FFL and then, he can't just... Is that how that's going to work?
It's
actually
bad.
I don't know the law for sure, but I think it says in-person transfers need to be done through an FFL. So I think you might be able to bring it in. But either way, why even go there?
Well, that's it. DOJ, from what I've been talking to with my guys there, because I'm supposed to be there in March teaching right now, is like, it's one dude is, yes, you can bring it. One, you can't, because now you're illegally importing ammunition or possibly transferring. I'm getting 5 different stories, and I'm like going, great. This is just going to be epic and another reason to avoid California again. This is
y'all
why
have to come to Arizona to train or something.
Yeah, I love going to Arizona to train. I've been there a million times. I love it. But the thing is this, California has been a black hole for years in training since about 2012. When I was at my other job, when I was at Magpul for so many years, we did a lot of classes in California. The problem later became California has been a very big black hole of training, and unfortunately, a lot of people who want it, who should get it, aren't getting the quality of the training that's needed. It's causing them to go their places. But what you're going to see in the next, probably currently you are actually seeing, and I can't name names right now, there are a lot of companies leaving California that are getting ready to leave probably in the next 2 years, between weapons manufacturers, accessories, gear companies that are all in that state that are preparing to leave.
Yeah, and it's not surprising at all. I was looking at Defender Outdoors, and it says California will prohibit its residents from bringing ammunition into the state, bypassing taking delivery through a licensed dealer. So the new laws don't impact sharing ammunition in person with your friends and shooting partners. You just can't sell it to them.
So here's 2 warnings. One is I try to warn people often that it's not the federal government that is our biggest threat today. It might be in a couple of years, but right now it's not the federal government. Right now, it's state governments. So I hear guys all the time say, oh, I don't need to worry about this and that. We got Trump in office. Well, guess what Trump did to help stop this? Nothing. He can't do anything to stop this. So your state can make these types of regulations and infringe upon your rights, and I think is way more dangerous because they can do it on a whim. States move so quickly, and the federal government can't do anything to protect you. The other thing is, this is why I got in the business of trying to get people their FFLs. Almost always, not always, but almost always, FFLs are exempt from these new laws. So I don't know, if I were living in California, I would be coming and trying to figure out a way to get an FFL. I'd probably check out Rocket FFL, but I would get an FFL because then I don't have to deal with any of this crap. I could have the ammo shipped directly to me, save money and make money, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't even know that an FFL will save you in this case because it says an approved ammunition vendor. And I'm sure, knowing what we know about California, there's going to be a ton of hoops that you have to jump through to become an approved ammunition vendor. So
you'll have to have a special ammo locker and all kinds of regulations on top of that for it.
Yeah, without question. The bullet points here, effective January 1st, 2018, which, of course, not enough time because December 1st is when this popped through. Licensed sellers will conduct and process all ammunition sales. Unlicensed sellers will have to conduct ammunition sales through a licensed vendor, much like private party firearms transactions. Ammunition obtained from an out-of-state seller must initially ship to a licensed ammunition vendor for delivery to the purchaser upon completion of a background check. Then, in July 1st, 2019, sellers will not sell or transfer ammunition without conducting a background check on the buyer. And California requires ammunition sellers to record, maintain, and report to the Department of Justice records of ammo sales in a manner similar to that of a firearms purchase. So
under federal law, every component of ammunition is ammunition, which makes me, I don't know California law off the top of my head because I'm not a California attorney, but it makes me wonder if it's the same way. Man, you can't even buy a piece of brass then without having to go through a licensed vendor.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Because that's technically ammunition.
That would be interesting.
And those of us in the match circuit too, I mean, there's a lot of restrictions we have when we go to California. Now, if we're having to also worry about our ammunition, how we're going to get it there, I'm just not going to go. I like shooting NorCal and areas like that, but just too many things I've got to worry about, going from Texas to there.
Now, Josh, shooting PRS, do you normally take more than 11 pounds of ammunition?
No, I wouldn't say more than 11 pounds, but I also shoot suppressed and other types of things that are restrictions I can't do in California that I modify. So, average match, you're going to take about 250 rifle rounds. So that could be around the 10-ish right there as far as weight.
Interesting. Yeah, this is pretty terrifying. And Ryan, I think you nailed it. This is the biggest danger. It's not even the federal government at this point. It's stuff like this that just, I mean, this destroys things. It's going to destroy some ammo companies too, honestly.
Not only can these laws pop up at the state level and you can lose rights faster, the whole federal system that we use allows these states to be like petri dishes. It allows the state to try something out, and if it works, then it can carry on to the rest of the government. And I've heard so many people say, "What about the Second Amendment? You can't do that." Well, yeah, you can. I actually think it's BS, but under the current interpretation of the Second Amendment, I think this holds up. And I think this is one of those things that would be a hard battle for us to fight if they wanted to do this federally. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Do you think my guess is we're going to see this in the California Supreme Court pretty quickly, I'd say in the next 12 months is my guess.
You never know.
It'll go to the Ninth Circus.
See what happens.
Ninth Circus Court.
Yeah. And we all know the Ninth Circuit, how friendly that is to the Second Amendment in firearms.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's pretty scary news. And I'm sorry, California. Next up, we've got Detroit. Man with gun caught on a homeowner's camera ringing the doorbell in Detroit. So, guy rolls up to the house. You can literally see him in the camera, and he's obviously got a gun, and finally ends up taking off. But the reason I brought this one up is just the technology of cameras, and they've got the Ring doorbell now, which is a doorbell, but also a camera, and things like that. Not sure what kind of gun he was holding, and obviously Detroit makes a little bit of
like
sense.
A Tech 9 or something like that.
Yeah.
Our usual guns here are high points.
That's what I said.
That's home. Detroit is home base for me, and it's pretty much it's usually high points.
I would say those doorbells got to be handy because by looking through the camera, you're going to be able to tell how many magazines to bring with your 870 to answer the door.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. I'm like, just a minute. I'll be right back. Hold on.
Yes. I think these kind of things are pretty good. We actually had not too long ago, just here, maybe, I don't know, 15 miles away.
Yeah, it was like 3 days ago. Somebody rang somebody's doorbell. The guy answered the door, and that guy shot him in the head. The guy who originally rang the doorbell. So it is nice to have this advanced technology because hey, save your life. But it makes you wonder, why was this guy just knocking on this guy's door with a gun, and why weren't you hiding the gun? Like he's holding it like right in front of his body.
Yeah, it must not have seen the camera. This must be one of those Ring doorbells because it looks like he presses on the camera at one point. So I don't know. Video is definitely good. Here's an interesting one. FBI issued over 4,000 orders for ATF to recover guns from people that failed background checks. This has a lot of facets to it, and I'll defer to Ryan on this one. But basically, the sudden spike in gun retrieval directives is attributed in part to the record 27.5 million background checks fielded by NICS examiners last year. And USA Today review found that the FBI issued more than 4,000 requests last year for agents for the Bureau of the ATF-E to retrieve guns from prohibited buyers. Is this something new, or is it just because we're focused on it because of the guy that got out of the Air Force, dishonorably discharged from, or however he was pushed out of the Air Force, and then ended up buying a gun that he shouldn't have been allowed to? Do you think it's just a result of that, or is this business as usual?
It's happening more now. I actually think it's kind of bullcrap on how they do it. Just because you fail a background check doesn't mean you're actually a prohibited person. In my experience, a good chunk, maybe the majority of background checks are actually false positives, false negatives, however you would say that actually the person is not prohibited at all. And so now they failed a check for some reason. Maybe some record wasn't in order. Someone gave the wrong signal. And now you're going to have federal agents at your door seizing all your firearms and ammunition. That blows me away that we allow that to happen. To me, that's, you failed the polygraph, we're going to put you in jail. Well, hold on. There could be a lot of other explanations here to what happened before we're going to go start seizing somebody's property. That concerns me.
But Ryan, the police are never going to go door to door and confiscate guns. That'll never happen.
Again.
It does say in this article that that was ATF that they were reluctant to say if they, how many of those 4,000 guns they actually returned back.
Yeah, probably very little.
Yeah.
There was another, it wasn't in this episode, it wasn't in this article, there was another article that said the number was something in like the 90 percentile of amount of rejections that are false flags. I think it was a story further down the line, but there was that number in the 90s somewhere in there.
Very interesting.
At the end of the day,
So is it?
for as many background checks that are conducted per day, 4,000 is, it's
it's a
like
small
maybe
number.
what? Yeah, it's extremely
Out of 27.5 million. Yeah. I don't know. But there is one thing that I noted in here. Basically, if the background check is not complete within a 72-hour time limit, the sale can go forward. And I wonder how many of those are just basically the BATFE being completely overwhelmed by things, and that just, not being able to get to it in a reasonable amount of time. And then they go back and examine it later and see it. Is that not how it works?
Well, so the ATF doesn't do them at all, right? So the FBI does all the background checks.
That was a misstatement by me.
No worries. And actually, they don't do all of them. There's about a third of the states do their own background checks. So the FBI only does about 2/3 of the states, and the rest of those remaining third do their own. It's not just that they're overwhelmed; it's that there's a ping. So guys that I've had that are clients that have like a top secret clearance in the past, they invariably take longer to get their background check back. There's just more to look into, even though they've been vetted before. And I tell my clients that are FFLs, if they get that delay, to not transfer the gun, because all 5 to 10 days later, DOJ comes back and says, oh, by the way, that person's denied. But they put in the law that the FFL is allowed to give the gun after 72 hours. So now you have the FFL going, wish you'd have told me sooner because that dude's got a gun now. Right. So we got to fix the system somehow.
It's just further proof that background checks just don't work. They don't do anything but hinder law-abiding citizens.
Correct.
Yeah, we know that. We know that we see it all the time. We hear it all the time. And I'm not sure what to say. I guess we'll see where that goes. Out of Philadelphia, a man being charged with murder after shooting a man that was involved in an argument with his girlfriend. So basically, a guy comes along and sees a man and a woman arguing. At some point, something happens. He fires 3 rounds and is now looking to be charged with murder. I feel like there might be things that we don't know in this story.
A little bit.
Yeah, it does say that it appears that he did not know the couple, so it was there was no kind of prior relationship there, according to this news article. But yeah, I feel like this is something that we're just not hearing, we're not seeing. I don't know.
Well, and also it doesn't expand on what kind of argument, if it was a verbal or if there was like an actual fight, if it turned physical.
Yeah.
Because if they're just obviously verbally,
there was no imminent threat to her, and then he should have just called the police and let them handle it. I mean,
exactly.
That's one thing. If you get a license to carry, that doesn't make you a police officer. And sometimes people think they've got some type of little badge in their wallet, and that's not what that is.
Yeah, definitely. Ava, what is it you always say in class that you must be able to clearly define the innocent party?
Yeah, so the threat has to be immediate. It has to be bodily, like
Death.
damage or
death or bodily harm.
And you have to be the innocent party.
Yeah, and you have to be able to clearly define. So I guess I'm just not sure what's going on in the situation. Obviously, we'll have to look at the court records afterwards. But
you know what kind of sucks about the whole thing is nowadays it really does not pay to get involved. Let's say somebody's having a heart attack and you go to help them and you move them a certain way and now it causes permanent injury. And as a result, you end up getting sued because you were just trying to be a good Samaritan. So, and like you said, we don't really know the whole story of this case. And if the girlfriend was actually in danger and the other guy was just trying to save her, or maybe they were just verbally fighting. In that case, nobody was really like in harm's way. But it's kind of scary out there. It really doesn't pay to help anymore. It doesn't pay to be the hero, right, Sean?
It definitely does not.
So I teach concealed weapons classes here in Florida, and Florida law does allow for the use of protection of a third party. And I tell my students, look, you got to make the decision up for yourself, but my opinion is mind your business.
Yeah, because even if the law protects you, or they say that there's a law that'll protect you, there's still so many gray areas.
Yeah.
The other issue is this: people have become so dependent on one tool. The gun is the key here for everybody, everyone, and not understanding other capabilities. The other options of less lethal measures, such as where legal electronic devices, aka tasers, etc., or even so much as pepper spray. That's it. Something chemical, a chemical agent as well. And too many people, here's the problem that I see it as. One, there's a lot of shady instructors. There's a lot of instructors that don't understand case law. They don't understand their state laws. They don't understand what else is actually capable for their students to be educated upon. That gives them options.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes down to, well, everything looks like a nail. All I have is a hammer. I'm just going to get to swinging. It's not the case. You have options. There are things you can do. It's not necessarily the whole, it doesn't pay to get involved anymore, but granted, it doesn't pay to get involved. And then, people are fearsome of this. This goes back to kind of the day and age of 40s, 50s, where that's the thing you should have done. You do what's right. What is the norm? What is normal? What is normal now? And this has become a problem. I know my responses to a lot of things based on what I've done in the past and what I do currently. And again, it's what people are being told or what they're really trying to educate themselves with, an understanding of, well, great, I've got this permit to carry a gun now. What else is there? What are the other options? And let's face it, people are lazy. They get this magical permit that costs them $60, $80, $100, whatever it is, via the states. And all of a sudden, woohoo, that's all they need. They're done. And education is the key on this.
Yeah, completely agree. And honestly, if you're not sure if they're not under, threat of death or grave bodily harm, just serve as a good witness. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be shooting anyone unless he's literally choking her out or stabbing her in the street. It's going to have to be a pretty grave situation before I would get involved in a firearm. I'll tell you that.
Yes, and my kids aren't with me. I mean, it sounds horrible to say, but I'm not afraid to say it. My duty is to my family first, which means protecting myself, and then other people, which means, man, if heaven forbid my family is the one being attacked, I hope that one of you guys are nearby to help out. But I also get that I'm not any help to my family when I'm dead.
100%. What about that? The guy in the convenience store, 2 armed robbers walked in. He's holding his kid in one arm and shooting them both with the other hand.
If that's my only chance to survive, without a doubt, speed, surprise, and violence of action, I would do it.
Yeah.
But if I had a chance to get out, the whole point of self-defense is, defense is maybe not to go get into a gunfight. It's not self-offense, So anyway,
it's all about self-preservation, and then that of your family.
Yeah, true. So, guys, we've been hearing a lot about the Fix NICS bill that's coming up. A lot of different things here. It's being said that it could take your gun rights for unpaid parking tickets. Anti-gunners prepare to fight against the reciprocity bill. Rep Massey wants to merge Obama-style gun control with reciprocity bill. Reciprocity bill passes House vote. There's just a ton here. So I was just going to let anyone kind of wax poetic about any part of this that they're really interested in, honestly.
I think it's a bunch to get people spun up. honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the biggest proponents of the Fix NICS was the National Shooting Sports Foundation, the NSSF.
Yes.
You know, Bill Rucker Shot Show, who I used to work for.
Yep.
They were huge proponents of Fix NICS, and I kind of got to agree with them. We can't talk out both sides of our face. We can't say, enforce the gun laws that exist, don't make new gun laws, and then when they go to actually make the current laws work, get mad at it. Whether we want to debate on whether we should have background checks or whether the NICS system should exist, that is one debate. And it is the law. And as long as it's the law, I think we should have it working. And maybe having it work might make us realize that it's stupid and we can get rid of it, but that's not how our government works. So I think the hoopla that I see going on with it is a little over the top, which is a shame because it takes away some of the rational part of the arguments to me.
Other thoughts?
You said rational and laws and things. That doesn't add up.
None of those things go together.
It doesn't mix.
I don't know. So go ahead. The first part of this says Fix NICS could take your gun rights for unpaid parking tickets. This is basically a Gun Owners of America article. And the headline says bill would take away guns as a result of unpaid traffic tickets, but then it's just basically a form to collect emails and addresses for fundraising. There is literally not much there.
You can take your gun rights away for not paying your taxes. You can take your gun rights away for doing a lot of things that fall on the list of prohibited persons.
Well, so the thing about unpaid parking tickets is if you don't pay a speeding ticket or parking ticket, then you leave the state and they issue a bench warrant for your arrest. You're now a fugitive from justice, I think is where they're going at with that. Which I guess is a thing, but
yeah, and I get it, and maybe that is what we need to debate, how we should change the law, but that's what the law says already. So we're not adding anything to the law right now. The law says if you're a fugitive from justice, you're not allowed to possess firearms or ammunition. So this isn't changing anything at all. It's been the law and it still is.
Right.
So I do think that anytime that people like Dianne Feinstein support something, it definitely makes me take a step back a little bit. I mean, why would they support this bill in its current form? And do you think it's wise or unwise to combine it with the reciprocity bill?
I think it's wise to put it together, honestly. I hope I don't eat my words, but if I can get NICS fixed, because all of us should abhor the criminal misuse of firearms. We should not want criminals to misuse the guns. Now, that doesn't mean we all agree that we should be doing background checks or we should have the gun laws in place. But none of us should want criminals using guns for bad purposes. And again, the laws are the laws. And if we're going to enforce our current laws, and this is a way to help enforce them, which is to require states to add into the registry to support the current laws, why not do that? I don't see the problem with that. As a matter of fact, I think going against this is essentially saying, I don't want our current laws enforced. And if we can get reciprocity out of it, man, I'll do that.
And you don't feel like we're giving up anything of great value as far as Second Amendment or, our rights go?
No, because already right now, you're a fugitive from justice. You're not allowed to possess, not just buy, you're not allowed to possess firearms or ammunition. And what's going to change after this goes through? Nothing. It's going to be the exact same thing. If you're a fugitive from justice, you're still not going to be able to possess firearms or ammo. It's just going to put the burden, in my understanding, on some of these organizations to actually report it. So, a la the Air Force didn't report what they should have. This Fix NICS would hopefully try to stop that. But my understanding is they're not making any more prohibited persons. That's not going to change.
All right. Anyone else have anything to add on that one?
I'm going to wait and see how it shakes out.
All right, that's fair. AmmoLand reports that the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals makes the Supreme Court their bitch over guns. Interesting headline, but on November 27th, the Supreme Court of the United States once again refused to stand up to protect the Second Amendment by turning down 2 cases challenging infringing state gun laws. No inflammatory rhetoric there, editor's note. One was a Florida case where the state courts have, on the one hand, declared that there is a state constitutional right to bear arms for self-defense outside the home, but on the other hand, have declared that carrying concealed is a privilege, not a right. Anyway, this is regarding Norman versus Florida. He jumped through the hoops, paid the fee, and was granted the privilege to exercise his right. Unfortunately, the first time he exercised that privilege, he failed to conceal the firearm to the satisfaction of local police, who swarmed him, put him face down on the sidewalk in handcuffs, and he was found guilty of openly carrying a firearm. We talk about this in classes fairly regularly. Not allowed to print in certain places.
Right. Florida is, and he was not printing, to be fair. I saw the video. He was wearing a wife beater and carrying outside the waistband. So, I mean, but that being said, yes, Florida Constitution says we have a right to bear arms outside the home, but open carry is strictly prohibited unless you're fishing, hunting, or camping. And then we have to have a license to carry concealed. So I don't understand how they can say it's a right to carry outside the home, and then if you give us some monies and take a course.
Yeah.
So if you pulled a Mayberry and walked down the street with a fishing pole over your shoulder, are you allowed to open carry?
As long as you are traveling directly to or from such activity.
And you have a fishing license.
And you better have a fishing license.
You better have that fishing license.
Interesting. And then the next one was Colby versus Hogan.
Oh, just right there.
And it was a challenge to Maryland's draconian, air quotes, ban on the so-called assault weapons and high-cap magazines. The Fourth Circuit decided the ban is not unconstitutional. And yeah, I don't know. This whole article, it's propaganda and rhetoric. It's just on our side, so a lot of people don't necessarily notice. I don't know. Ryan, we've talked about this a lot. Obviously, the Supreme Court's going to pick things that they think that they want to overturn, right? Otherwise, it makes no sense to just hear cases for the fun of it. So
yep,
they didn't want to overturn these things. And is that a huge problem? And does it really affect our future?
Maybe. So sometimes, I'm not holding my breath on this one, but sometimes the Supreme Court is actually just waiting for the right case. And they'll even give hints back to people. So maybe I'm on a stretch here. I'm not saying this is the case. It's just a hypothetical. Maybe they want to overturn Florida's ban on open carry. They're not going to do it with a guy that was so, blatantly violating the law, wearing a wife beater with an outside the waistband holster. They might be waiting for the perfect scenario of a father with his children in his arms and the kid's leg made the gun print. And then they're going to say, aha, that's the case we're going to do it on. So maybe they're waiting for the perfect scenario. I don't know. But then again, the Supreme Court does what's politically expedient. So, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. We could talk for hours and we won't on that. But the things that they rule, like when they say that gay marriage is a constitutional right, that doesn't mean this year it was a constitutional right. That means it must have always been one. But the Supreme Court didn't say that 100 years ago because it wasn't politically popular then. So, man, depending on what's going on in their circuits, back in U.S. v. Miller, right after the National Firearms Act,
yes,
a guy got in trouble with a short-barreled shotgun, and they said that the short-barreled shotgun wasn't protected by the Second Amendment because it wasn't used in the military. And had it been more common in the military, then it would have fallen under Second Amendment protection. And now it seems like we go the exact opposite. So I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. And I don't know what the current makeup of the court. There's not a huge, the current makeup of the court is not extremely pro firearm right now.
Yep.
I mean, it's 5-4 on a good day.
Yeah, you're right. So the pro gun guys could just be waiting it out. Yeah,
there's a couple wishy-washy guys up there when it comes to the gun stuff. So,
when they're voting on it, they're looking over at Ruth Bader Ginsburg and be like, "No, let's wait till next year."
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on that one, guys? All right, good. So next one, Justice Department and ATF are revisiting the definition of machine gun to possibly include bump stocks. Early Tuesday, the Department of Justice's Office of Public Affairs issued a press release stating that ATF had begun the process of promulgating a federal regulation interpreting the definition of machine gun under federal law to clarify whether certain bump stock devices fall within that definition. I believe they already did this a couple times, right?
Yeah, every time someone made one, they got a letter from ATF stating that it was cool for them to sell it.
Yep. So I don't know what's different about this. Is this just more of the same, or did something change?
This is bad. This is really bad. Mm-hmm. This is the only one I'm scared about.
Do you honestly think they can reinterpret the law to
no.
Let me just go on.
They cannot reinterpret the law. There's no way they can change the law, which is why it scares me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, because the law says now a machine gun is more than one projectile for a single pull of the trigger. A bump stock is clearly not a machine gun, no matter how you try and do it.
Right.
It's not. So there's already talk about, so the proposed language says amending the Gun Control Act of 1968. That means amending, Title I of gun control law. Okay, now I'm scared, because whenever you take a piece of legislation and you crack that nut open in front of Congress, you never know who's going to be reaching their fingers in and changing something else. When I was at the NSSF, I was trying to fight the guys that were trying to lower. Sorry about this, but I was trying to lower. They were trying to lower the tax stamp from $200 down to $5 for all NFA items. And I was actually politically fighting against that on the industry side, as we were within an industry talking around this conference table. And my argument was, don't you dare bring it up to anyone's attention that tax has not increased since 1934. Because once you crack that nut open, all it's going to take is one congressperson to be like, wait a minute, is that the only federal tax that's never increased? What's the consumer price index on that? And bump it up to a few $1,000s. So it's the same logic here. Is what scares me is, Zane, you're right. You can't reinterpret it with a straight face, at least. But you can change the law. And, oh, God, if they crack that open and change the law, guys, we're going to blink. And there's going to be 20 other changes that happened, and they might be severe.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I would just like to point out that if it wasn't for gun control, we would not even have bump stocks. It would not be a thing.
That is true.
There's a point there.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to point out also that for anyone who thought that the NRA, when they recommended that the ATF re-examine this is exactly now what is happening. And for the people who said they were playing chess, not checkers, I'm sorry. This is exactly what we feared would happen, that they would go and they would re-examine, and that possibly the outcome would change. And it's going to change a lot of things. It is concerning. And I'm sorry, Colion Noir and Hickok 45, but they weren't playing chess, not checkers. They were just playing Connect 4, but they were playing it with, chess pieces. I don't know.
Yeah, they may have been playing chess doing this. They really could. They could say, if they wanted to say a machine gun is the ability to fire this many rounds per second, there's an AR-15. No matter what round count you put on there, somebody could take a pencil and hit the trigger fast enough to make it count. Man, this one's bad. This one could be bad.
Yeah. And they, like you said, they may have been playing chess, not checkers. They're not very good at it. That was the case.
Hey guys, some of these organizations out there are in business of being in business. That's all I'm going to say.
And you also have to remember that some of their talking heads are not on the political side, but on the marketing side.
Yeah, this is a big deal. And honestly, we've been saying this when the NRA came out with that. We railed against it on We Like Shooting. I've kept that the whole time. I do not believe I've changed my opinion of that. And now we're seeing the results of that stupidity, in my opinion. So
if I was Jerry Michalik, I'd be scared.
Jerry Michalik, he's going to be an assault weapon. Like
They're going to put him in jail.
They should. He's dangerous.
He's going to have a tax stamp on himself.
Yes.
Per finger.
And now, since Ryan just mentioned that the tax stamp was only $200 and hadn't been raised since '34, now we're going to have to pay thousands of dollars for Jerry Mitchell.
Everybody knows now. Nice job.
Yeah, I broke the secret. Sorry, guys.
Good job.
Oh, that's great.
Actually, I spent time lobbying, believe it or not, in D.C. trying to get the money to the ATF. And I had congressmen look at me repeatedly, go, wait, you're trying to help the ATF? Aren't you the guy that's supposed to beat them up? I'm like, yeah, but if the $200 actually went to the ATF, do you know how fast they'd get at processing forms and having people do the forms? Instead, the $200 goes to the general treasury. The ATF has no motivation to process the forms. But yeah, you gave them the $200, they would have a 500-person department doing nothing but forms because they'd get $200 per form. I don't know why we don't do that.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Point.
All right, let's move into our I'm Offended segment, just some things that just don't make sense to us. The UK's gun surrender event turned up more than just firearms. They did a national gun surrender, basically an amnesty event. If you wanted to turn something in, you could do that without going to jail. The breakdown was 3 handguns, 51 shotguns, 74 replica imitation handguns, air pistols, 34 air rifles, 4 rifles, a replica Thompson machine gun, a replica AK-47, 2 shotguns disguised as a walking stick, 1 antique firearm, 1 gun used in connection with animal slaughter, 8 ornamental swords, 46 knives, 1 crossbow, 1 bayonet, 4 flares, and a fork.
A fork.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nicely done. I feel much safer.
And this was the national gun surrender event. So basically a joke. We see these gun buybacks all over the United States and obviously in other countries that don't have the gun rights that we have here. And people are turning in forks.
You guys realize that the gun buybacks are like National Go Steal a Gun Day, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Without question.
All right, good.
Yeah, I think last time I was on the show, I said this is a great way to dispose of some sort of evidence because it's amnesty, and it's great for some little old lady whose husband died 10 years ago that she's had this sitting around her house and she doesn't want it anymore. You just get rid of it.
Yep, completely agree. All right. This is an interesting one. Ryan, you sent me a link to an article about this a few days ago. Accuracy International CEO says U.S. needs stricter gun control from the Not Understanding Your Market files. Ryan, why don't you wax poetic about this one for a moment?
Well, so he essentially allegedly said in the news article that I found that he was worried about the election because if Clinton got in charge, that she might change the firearms imports laws, which of course affect their guns coming into the U.S. market. And it seemed like in the article he was saying like, "Whew, dodge that bullet. Now that we've dodged that bullet, you guys should really ban those bump-fire stocks and get stricter in your guns because some of those guns aren't needed." And it bothered me when I saw it because I was like, wait a minute. This is the whole, if no one stands up for everyone else, then no one's going to be left to stand up for you. You can't just be afraid of legislation that's going to hurt you and then want the gun laws that hurt other people. That's not the way to do it. So I posted something about it, and a lot of people started showing me blog posts that said, no, he says he was misquoted. But the problem is, maybe that's true, but all I've seen from the CEO was that he called Frank Galli, and Frank Galli told a blog post, and they put on the blog that the CEO told Frank. I don't know if it was me, guys, and I was misquoted like that. I would have it on the top of my website. I'd have it on my Facebook page, on Twitter. I'd be talking about it right here saying, guys, I was misquoted. I would be threatening to sue the paper. I would be going full court press. I wouldn't just be telling a buddy on one phone call. So I don't know if I necessarily believe the retraction or that it was a mistake, because who hasn't said something stupid and then said it was a mistake later?
Yep.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, do you think, and Josh, maybe this is a good one for you because AI used a lot in long-range competition, long-range shooting, things like that. I mean, do you think this hurts their business if it is true? Do you think that if he doesn't say anything, this just fades away into the background over the next couple of weeks? What do you think?
Well, if it is true, I mean, it's kind of biting the hand that feeds you. But AI has got a pretty heavy presence, especially in the PRS, and I know they're big supporters of the sport. Obviously, a bump fire stock's not going to fit anywhere in their market. But I'd like to think it's not true. Then again, I think if they come out and either retract it or say they didn't say it more than what they've done, I think they'll be okay. I mean, they still get a pretty large market. They're a great rifle, so
they'll be okay either way. Honestly,
they'll
make
be
an
fine.
amazing rifle.
I mean, Ruben never won next week years ago.
Yeah, I'm known for saying stupid stuff too sometimes, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm known for saying a lot of stupid stuff. All right, that's good. And then finally, and I'm offended, I'm going to talk about Buffalo, New York has a toy gun buyback program. Program launched to take toy guns away from kids, indoctrinate them to be scared of guns. This is from the Daily Wire, but local community in Buffalo, New York has launched a toy gun exchange program. The group's leaders believe that if kids have toy guns, they might get their hands on a real gun. So they're doing this buyback, toy guns. Ridiculous is my opinion. What do you guys think?
No, they don't believe that. This is just a publicity stunt and indoctrination. It's all this is. They don't believe that they're gonna get their hands on a real gun. This is nothing more than a publicity stunt.
I'm surprised that it's Buffalo, New York that's doing this, because they're actually, out of all of New York, upstate New York is usually a little bit more, gun friendly.
It's one city. This is just something for somebody to showboat and to show, hey, look what we did. We're making the city safer. We're making our kids safer. This is nothing more than dog and pony.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wonder how much they're offering.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
I got some toy guns around here somewhere.
Yeah. We can hit Toys R Us and load up and go north and get paid.
I need some Hanukkah money.
That's good stuff.
I'm all about that dollar store life.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing. I've got an entire arsenal, guys.
Yes.
All right, good stuff. All right, Buffalo, get it together. And then the last portion of the show here is the full auto news segment. We are running a little bit long, so I want to do one story here. Does anyone have anything that they really want to talk about? All right, then we are going to talk about the restaurant that lets you shoot guns while you wait for your dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of. So there is a restaurant called Modern Round. It serves as appetizers and entrees with a side of all-you-can-shoot replica firearms molded into the size, shape, and weight of actual firearms. So basically what it is they're fake guns, and amateur action heroes shoot at 16-foot screens while zombies, flying pigs, or even real-life police shoot or don't shoot scenarios play in front of them. In addition to the top-shelf laser-enhanced technology, some of the weapons even have a CO2 blowback system, which is pretty cool. I think this is kind of fun, kind of awesome. Started by a guy who used to work for Smith & Wesson, once the chairman and CEO, in fact. I think this is awesome. What do you guys think?
No, I tried Top Golf, and I tried Top Golf, and I was horrible at it. This sounds like something way more in line with something I would enjoy. So that sounds pretty cool to me.
It's really cool. My family goes to it quite a bit. I'm from Arizona. I don't live there anymore, but they all send me pictures from going there and hanging out. They're having fun with laser training software. There's all these like little, I don't know what you call it, like cubicles or little areas for each party. So when you show up with your 2 or 3 friends, you're at a small table and you have your own screen, and you're sitting there going through, either video game scenarios or real life training scenarios or dueling scenarios with laser trainers while you're drinking, and the waitresses just keep coming by with more beers and more buckets of CO2 cartridges for you. And everyone seems to have a really good time there. So I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Normalizing firearms use.
Yeah. I spend a lot of money, I think.
I think so too.
I'd be an alcoholic.
Yeah, but I'm already an alcoholic. I guess I'll just have to, I don't know. I'm going. Yeah. Sounds fun.
Nice.
All right. That is called Modern Rounds. And I think if you live in Arizona or you're visiting Arizona, you should go there and support it, because I think it's a pretty cool idea. Although I got to say, if you're very sensitive about being flagged with firearms, even if they're not real, you want to avoid it, because
you don't want to go there.
Don't go there. Don't go to SHOT Show. So, yeah, you'll be fine.
Or any gun store. Or...
Yeah, exactly. For public range.
Any of those things. All right, let's start to wrap this thing up. I do want to have a chance to talk to each one of you. I'm going to start off with Josh. Josh, tell us where can people find you online?
Yeah, I own a company called North Texas Rifle Precision. You can Google it by that name. You'll see both the Facebook page and my web page as well. So I'm a private long range marksmanship instructor, and I also shoot for Team Short Action Customs. I also teach reloading, both basic like handgun all the way up to precision rifles. So that's about what I do.
Very cool. PRS season in full swing still?
It's winding down. We're getting ready for the next year, and then kicking that back up. So finale's coming up here pretty soon for the guys, and this should be a good time.
Very cool. Favorite PRS match of the year?
I would probably have to say I really enjoy shooting the heat stroke up in Oklahoma.
What makes that one different?
Well, the winds are insane there. It's always 20 to 30 mile an hour winds, and you're always shooting different directions. It's a very large tract of land. It ran very well this year. Even when they try to hold it in some of the cooler months, it's always unbearably hot there. And this day, it ran very quickly. We're done about 2 o'clock each day, so we could actually get out of this the worst part of the day and kind of have a little time to relax with the guys. But it was a very fast-paced, high round count match. That I really enjoyed a lot. And the distances we shot all the way out to, I believe, 1,500 yards, which is that's a stretch for 100 something people being organized to shoot that far. So it was good times.
Very cool, Josh. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Ryan Kleckner. Where can people find you? I mean, where can't people find you, I guess, is the question.
That would be easier to list. Yeah, they can find me at ryankleckner.com. They can support me if they want by getting the long range shooting handbook as a Christmas gift. It's the bright orange book there on Amazon. Rocket FFL, if you want to get your FFL out of your home. Rocket CCW, if before the reciprocity passes, you want to get a CCW valid in over half the country, get one. Or the podcast. We have Trigger Words Podcast, which is new, and I swear it's boring, but everyone else is saying that it's not. So come check it out. It's the Trigger Words Podcast on gun laws. And these kind of shows every once in a while. So thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for being here. Steve Fisher, where can people find you?
Same thing. Hit Google. Steve Fisher, Sentinel Concepts. You can find it on Google, Facebook, Instagram, all the usual sources.
I've got a favor to ask of you, Steve.
Uh-oh.
Next time you see Charlie Anderson, can you slap him and tell him it's from me?
Oh, I'll hit Charles as hard as you want me to.
Yes.
I have no problem with that. I'll actually probably see him here in the next week or so. So
Perfect. All right. Hopefully he doesn't hear this and know he's got a present coming.
He will.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, Steve. Zane, where can people find you online?
You can find me on the Gun and Gear Review podcast. We're also on the @Firearms Insider on Instagram, Facebook, all the things. And you can find me at Facebook/Zane2A for my classes and whatnot.
All right. Thanks for being with us, Zane.
Yep.
Ava Flanell, where are you online?
Well, first of all, didn't anybody ever teach you that ladies should go first?
Well, didn't anyone ever teach you that I was saving the second best for last?
Equality.
Oh, wait. She's still here? Oh. Oh.
Oopsie.
Okay, now just get him off the air. That would be great.
I don't know. I can't find it.
If you guys want to find me, I'm on elitefirearmsandtraining.com, and I have Facebook, Instagram under Elite Firearms and Training, and then on GunFunny. You can go to gunfunny.com, and we are on the Firearms Radio Network. We're on Instagram, YouTube. You can find all of those links if you just go to gunfunny.com.
All right. And, the more people listen to the show, the more we're getting busted on those prank calls.
I know. Yeah, we do prank calls on the show, and people are calling us out, which is kind of cool. It's kind of like the Ashton Kutcher equivalent of punk.
Yeah.
But they're funny. We enjoy doing them. And we interview some pretty cool guests. So if you guys are looking for another podcast to listen to, definitely check out Gun Funny. And Sean also helps me host that show.
Helps. Perfect.
He helps. He does like the techie stuff.
The tech support. That's great.
And let's just say that when we get enough money, we're probably going to have to hire somebody who knows what they're doing. But for right now, he's working out okay.
That's great. Thank you guys for listening and joining us on This Week in Guns. Please support our advertisers, the Patriot Patch Company, patriotpatch.co, and of course, Manticore Arms. Go there right now. It's one of the last things you'll hear in this episode. ManticoreArms.com. The coupon code is TWG10. Christmas is coming. Hanukkah is coming. Kwanzaa and Festivus are coming. Support the people that support us. And leave us a review in iTunes. You can go to iTunes, search for This Week in Guns, leave us a review. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, and what you'd like to see more of. We absolutely appreciate it. It helps us guide the show. This Week in Guns is produced by Kenny Ortega and is a production of the Firearms Radio Network. We will catch you guys next week.